1800 hours, Pakistan Standard Time. Assalamu alaikum. This is Radio Pakistan. The news read by Hassan Gilani. First, the headlines. Prime Minister has called for collaborative actions and multilateral cooperation to cope with the adverse impacts of COVID-19. Interior Minister says 2 new border crossings on Pak-Iran border will be opened to boost bilateral trade and promote tourism. Information Minister calls for enhanced cooperation between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia in the fields of culture and media to bring people of the two nations closer. Pakistan, expressing concern over violent actions by Israeli forces, has urged international community to take prompt action to protect Palestinians. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the All-Parties Hurriyat Conference has strongly condemned the oppressive measures taken by the fascist Indian regime to silence the voice of the people for their inalienable right to self-determination. In Nigeria, over 31 soldiers were killed in an ambush in northeast Borno state today. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Imran Khan has emphasized the need for collective national actions, regional collaboration and multilateral cooperation to meet the adverse impacts of COVID-19. He was virtually addressing the opening segment of the 77th session of the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific today. The Prime Minister suggested 4 key areas of focus to meet the challenge. He emphasized on formulating pro-poor policies to strengthen public health and social protection systems. He said these have been the primary objectives for us in Pakistan. The Prime Minister said peace and development must be anchored in human rights, which should be upheld and protected universally. The international community needs to pay special attention to the situations of foreign occupation. He said ambitious climate action is a way ahead and Pakistan is accordingly implementing policies for green growth. Prime Minister Imran Khan says the government's historic initiative of Kisan Card will transform the agriculture sector and ensure farmers' prosperity in the country. Addressing a Kisan Card distribution ceremony in Multan today, he said the farmers through this card will get subsidized fertilizer, seed and pesticides, besides low-interest loans and compensation for damaged crops in case of any natural calamity. The Prime Minister expressed confidence that the Kisan Card scheme will bring about a revolution in the country by making the life of farmers easy through use of technology, enhancing agriculture production and saving foreign exchange. He said it will also contribute to poverty reduction, particularly in rural areas. Addressing the launching ceremony of various public welfare projects in Multan this afternoon, talking about his strategy to cope with the Islamophobia and blasphemy against Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam Khatimun Nabiyyin, the Prime Minister said, "We are contacting heads of the Muslim countries to evolve a joint approach over the matter to be presented before the European Union and the United Nations." He said through a joint approach, we will tell the EU and the Western countries that they should refrain from hurting sentiments of 1.5 billion Muslims in the name of freedom of expression. Interior Minister Sheikh Rashid Ahmed says the government has decided to open 2 new border crossings at Chowk Aap and Jagli Bulaida on Pak-Iran border. He stated this in a tweet after his meeting with Minister for Defence Production Zubaida Jalal in Islamabad today. The Interior Minister said the border crossing will not only help boost bilateral trade between Pakistan and Iran, but also promote tourism in the area. Minister for Information and Broadcasting Chaudhry Fawad Hussain has called for enhanced cooperation between Saudi Arabia in the fields of culture and media for bringing people of the two nations closer. He was talking to Saudi Ambassador Nawaf bin Saeed Al-Maliki, who called on him in Islamabad today. During the meeting, emphasis was laid on the implementation of MOUs signed between the two countries to strengthen cultural cooperation. The ambassador, on behalf of the Saudi Minister for Media, Dr. Majid bin Abdullah Al-Qasabi, also invited Chaudhry Fawad Hussain to visit Saudi Arabia. The Information Minister said Pakistan and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia enjoy deep fraternal ties based on common faith, culture, traditions and values, and he would like the media dimension to be added to it. Special Assistant on Overseas Pakistanis and Human Resource Development Syed Zulfikar Abbas Bukhari says Pakistan will soon start sending its skilled workforce to Japan under a government-to-government memorandum of understanding. Addressing the signing ceremony of a memorandum of cooperation between the Overseas Employment Corporation and International System Engineering and Services in Islamabad today, he said recruitment process of many young workers is at final stage. Speaking on the occasion, Japanese ambassador Kuninuri Mastuda said, as of today, over 30,000 Pakistanis are living and working in Japan. He said Pakistanis are the most constructive and law-abiding members of the society in Japan. This is Radio Pakistan. Pakistan has condemned violent acts and alarming developments in the occupied Palestinian territories being carried out by the Israeli occupation forces. In a statement today, Foreign Office spokesperson Zahid Hafiz Chaudhry said Islamabad views it with serious concern and urges the international community for prompt action to protect the Palestinians. He said these illegal acts include harassment of people coming for prayers, arrest of innocent Palestinians, and other arbitrary restrictions in violation of fundamental human rights. He said these illegal measures have seen an upsurge since the onset of the holy month of Ramadan. The spokesperson said Pakistan steadfastly supports the Palestinian people's inalienable right to self-determination. In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the All-Parties Hurriyat Conference has strongly condemned the oppressive and suppressive measures taken by the fascist Indian regime to kill the voices of the people for their inalienable right to self-determination. According to Kashmir Media Service, APHC Working Vice Chairman Ghulam Ahmad Gulzar equated the India's hawkish approach towards Kashmiris with Israeli military aggression on the Palestinian territory. He urged the United Nations Secretary General and other world bodies working on human rights to impress upon India to stop genocide of the people of Kashmir. Hurriyat leaders Khwaja Firdaus, Khadim Hussain, rights defender Muhammad Ahsan Unto, Jammu and Kashmir Employees Movement and Kashmir Council Europe Chairman Ali Raza Sayed in their statements expressed serious concern over the threat to the lives of the jailed Kashmiris amid exponential rise in the corona cases. People's Democratic Party in a statement called upon the Modi regime to give up vindictive approach and release Kashmiri political prisoners lodged in jails. A report released by Kashmir Media Service today said that amid the devastating COVID-19 surge in India, the Modi regime is continuously ignoring calls for release of approximately 3,000 Hurriyat leaders and activists from Indian jails. Meanwhile, the Indian troops launched a cordon and search operation at Natipura in Srinagar today. In Nigeria, at least 31 soldiers, including a commander, were killed in an ambush in northeast Borno state today. Military sources told AFP that Islamist militants carried out the deadliest attack of the year on the army, which has been fighting against them for decades. Today is the 35th anniversary of the Chernobyl nuclear plant disaster that took place on 26 April 1986 in Pripyat, northern Ukraine, due to a flawed reactor. In this connection, people gathered at the central square near the Chernobyl nuclear power plant and laid flowers to commemorate the victims. 2 soldiers had died instantly in their explosion, whereas 28 people died within few weeks as a result of acute radiation syndrome. And finally, the weather. Hot and dry weather is expected in most parts of the country during the next 12 hours. However, partly cloudy weather is expected in Upper Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. And now the headlines once again. Prime Minister has called for collaborative actions and multilateral cooperation to cope with the adverse impacts of COVID-19. Interior Minister says 2 new border crossings on Pak-Iran border will be opened to boost bilateral trade and promote tourism. Information Minister has called for enhanced cooperation between Pakistan and Saudi Arabia in the fields of culture and media. And this is the end of the news. For more news and analysis, log on to our website radio.gov.pk and also watch live video streaming of our bulletins on the link facebook.com/Radio Pakistan News Official.